Parshas Korach, Tufshin Pai Hai. B'siyata d'Shemaya. First, we have to thank Hashem for all the gewaldige goods that He did with us. He does with us. He hativ lanu, hu meitiv, hu yetiv lanu. We could say mamish the lashon and tehillim, Hallelujah Hashem kol goyim, shabchui kol uimim, ki govar oleini chazdoi. All the Mesoilam, we know and we see that Hashem watches on Klal Yisrael. Ki govar oleinu chazdoi. They all say Shevach, v'yidueh. Leiv melochim v'sorim b'yad Hashem. Not Trump, not the Israeli army. It's Hashem. V'zachartas Hashem alekecha, k'hu anois lechekoyach las Yisrael. All are good shlichem, but Hashem is burech with His siyata d'shmaya. Hu anois lechekoyach las Yisrael. Hallelujah Hashem kol goyim shabchi kol uimim. Praise Hashem ki govar oleini chasdoi. And if we see now in the Chilonische world, secular world, that all of them speak about Hashem, it's a Bechin Hashem Shomayim, Shogur B'fiyem, they use a lot to praise Hashem, remind Hashem's name, to connect to Hashem. For sure it has to, for us, it should make us also get even more connected and remember that everything is from Hashem Yisburech. Say sometimes Shem Shomayim Shogur B'fiv, that's the Lashon in Rashi. What's sugar? It's like sugar. Hashem's name should be sweet in our mouth. It should be like sugar. Shem Shomayim Shogur B'fiv. It should be like sugar, sweet. Burich atu Adonai, Eloheini melech ha'olam, shehakol niyu b'dvoroi. Amen. Could be, a person told me at Talmud Chuchem, that if in our days would have been Megillah Stainis, that was in the time of Chazal, that Chazal were Kirveya Yomim Tovim, that say the Yom Tov of Chanukah is written in Megillah Stainis. And also other Yom Tovim that happened b'meshach the Doiris. And also on the opposite, if there were Tzoras, they made Tanaisim. It's called Megillah Stainis. He claims that probably this day Chavov Sivan, that b'siyata d'shmaya, they wiped out the nuclear, how do you call it? The nuclear facilities. Again, what? Reactor. The nuclear reactor of Iran. They would mistoma be keveya for a Yom Tov, such a day, that such a gewaltige threat on Klal Yisrael, on the world, was taken away. It's a gewaltige Zach. So we have to thank Hashem and ask and daven, Adheinu azorinu rachamechu, v'lo yazovini chasodecha Hashem alekeinu, v'al titcheinu Hashem alekeinu l'netzach. Chesed Hashem should be malava us always. Should be zoiche bekurev mamish to the gile shalaime. Now let's start the Parsha. Vayikach Korach. Rashi starts right away in the beginning. Oh, I want to mention that the sheet today is dedicated l'schus a gewaltige choshev yid that he doesn't want we should mention his name. He's roitze b'elim shemoy, a very generous donation. Hashem should help that the schus of the limud HaTorah, Barabim, should be a schus for him, for his family. They should all have atzlocha and parnasa toive, health, and whatever they need. Bar yizgifen oiremal yarichis yomim v'shanim toives parnasa toive b'achu v'naches, and all the best b'siyata d'shmaya. And I also want to mention he that gave a donation. His name is L'schus Shmuel Yehuda Leib ben El Kesore. He should also have a lot of atzlocha and siyata d'shmaya. Parnasa toive b'archove, simchas anachis by all of his children, from all children, mit gezint anachis, arichis yomim v'shunim toives, and alles gits Amen. Rashi starts Vayikach Korach. Rashi says Parsha zi Yofan Edreshes Bemedesh Reb Tanchime. Rashi starts off and he tells us you should know this Parsha. If you want to understand it better, if you want to know a little bit more than Rashi, what Rashi brings down, if you're going to learn Medrash Reb Tanchime, you're going to find something more that I can't bring down the whole Medrash. It's Yofan Edresh, it's very nice, learned and described and nidrash in the Medrash of Reb Tanchime. Now the Pri Megadim on Shulchan Aruch, there's a Sefer Pri Megadim, he wrote a Sefer ala Torah. The name of the Sefer is Tevas Goime. Small Sefer, Tevas Goime. He has on every week's Parsha a few shtiklach, few pieces. Most of them are lomdische shtiklach, halachadige shtiklach, but he also has, this week he brings down like this. We know there's a pasuk, Dovar be'itoy matoiv, and the Gemara learns from that, Hakoyre pasuk bizmanoi maybe toiv eloilam. If you read a pasuk in the right time, you bring toiv for the world. Because it says, V'dovar be'itoy, you say a dovar in the right time, matoiv, it brings good on the world. And that's why we know the Gemara says in the end of Masechtas Megillah that Moshe Rabbeinu was metaken for Klal Yisrael. They should be shoyalim v'doishin b'inyonis shel yoim. Hilchas Pesach b'Pesach, Hilchas Atzeres b'Atzeres, Hilchas Chag b'Chag Sukkis. You should learn Hilchas Sukkis. You have to be always like a koyre pasuk bezmanoi, or the pasuk, or you learn the Mishnayos and the Gemara every Yom Tov, what refers to this day. Or you learn Masechta Shabbos, and every Shabbos a Perik Mishnayos, a Daf Gemara of Masechta Shabbos. Koyre pasuk bezmanoi maybe toiv eloilam. So he says if a person is going to come on Sukkis and he wants to give a wonderful Gishmak Kedroshe on Chanukah, you have to say it Chanukah, not on Sukkot. The same if you want to come in the middle of Pesach and say on Sukkot, it also won't work. But to speak about Parshas Korach, about the genus of Machloikis, the genus, how do you say it? The bad, the evil, the genus. How do you say genus in English? There's a genai and there's a shevach. The opposite of shevach is like how bad it is, machloikis. If you want to teach and speak about how bad machloikis could be and how good shalom could do, so this is always Yofa Nedreshes. Yofa Be'ito, it's always Yofa Be'ito, because always there's a place to speak about machloikis and to praise the shevach and the maila of shalom. This is always Yofa Be'ito. Parshas Korach is always Yofa Nedreshes. That's how the Pri Megadim explains in the Sefer Tevas Goime. Now we see the Chassam Sofer says that if you look in Rashi says, why does it say only Korach ben Yitzhar ben Kahos ben Levi? Why doesn't it say ben Yaakov? So Rashi brings down that Yaakov Avini was mispal and he davened that his name shouldn't be mentioned by this machloikis. So that's why we stop by ben Levi. We don't say ben Yaakov. So the kasha is, what's enough? If you do mention it or you don't mention it, after all, Yaakov Avini was a Zayd of Korach, even if you don't mention it. What's the idea of mentioning or not? There's a longer Chaim HaKadosh, how he explains it. But the Chassam Sofer says, because the Sofer Tevis of Yitzhar, Kahos Levi, is Reish Tov Yid. Reish Tov Yid is Yitzhar, is a Reish, Kahos is a Tov, and Levi is a Yud. If it would also be saying Yaakov, it will also have a base. So then the Sefer Tevis would have been Bris. Tov, Reish, Tov, Yid, base is Bris. Hashem didn't want a Bris on Machloikis. So that's why Yaakov asked that his name shouldn't be mentioned. So like this, it shouldn't be the Sefer Tevis Bris. It shouldn't be written the Bris on Machloikis. By Sholem, there's good, it should be a Bris. How does it say by Pinchas, L'chein HaMoir, Hinin in Oiseloi as Brisi Shalom. A Bris Shalom is very good. But Bris HaMachloikis, Hashem didn't want it should be said Bris by Machloikis. Now, we mentioned those days a lot to be Ma'oires, a Chus Avos, Bris Avos, we say Rosh Chodesh, Bris Avos Labonim Tiskoir. I saw in the Sefer Toitzes Chaim of the Reishis Chochma, the holy Reishis Chochma writes in the Sefer Toitzes Chaim that we have to mention always Chus Avos, because that's all the geulas that were till now, and the geula wasida that's going to be, is only b'schisa oves, that Hashem promised that He's going to take us out from Golis. That's why every Shemoneh Esrei starts with Elekei Avram, Elekei Yitzchak, Elekei Yaakov. Every Mishabeirach Aviseini Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov. By benching we say, Kemoishin is Baruch Aviseinu Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Bakel Mikol Koil, Kein Yevarech Esonu. Always we mention Zechis Avos. We have to remember that this is our schus that we have. V'zoicher chasdei Avos. Hashem remembers all the time the chesed of the Avos, and only b'schus the Avos we're going to be zoicher to the Ge'ilah. One said, maybe you could say, even when a person gives a scream and he says, Oi, Rebbeinu Shalom, Oi, he could think, Oi, the Rosh Tevis, Avram, Yitzchak, veYaakov. That's Rosh Tevis of Oi. So he could mention Schis Avos. Oi, he could have in mind, Avram, Hashem should be Moirer, the Schis of the Avos HaKadoshim, Avram, Yitzchak, veYaakov. Oi is Lamaisa Begematria 17, Aleph of Yid. So that's Toiv. It's good. Even when a person says Oi, he knows deeply that whatever Hashem does is for the good. And why does it say Oi? Because he wants to be Moirer, the Schis Avos, Avram, Yitzchak, veYaakov. I once heard the name of the Tzelem Rav Zechron. He said, "B'derech tzachus, v'chol oivei amcha meheri yikaresi." Now he davened so strong for that all the oivim, all the enemies of Klal Yisrael should be wiped out. Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas, Syria, v'chol oivei amcha meheri yikaresi. All the oivim. He said, "B'derech tzachus." Oivei refers also when a person says oivei. Oivei riboyne shaloylam. So he says, "V'chol oivei amchu." All the oiveis from Klal Yisrael Be'eri Kreisi should be taken away. No Yid should ever have to say oiveis. He should only praise and thank Hashem. Vayikach Korach. Korach took. It doesn't say what he took. It says Ben Yitzchak, Ben Koz, Ben Levi, but what did he take? So Rashi explains in the beginning he took himself. He divided himself from the rest of Klal Yisrael. Lokech esatzmei letzad echot, to another side. He split it, he like divided himself from the other chayil. Lokech esatzmei letzad echot. Lios nechlak mitoicho eidah. Then Rashi brings another pshat that he was a moishich with his mouth, with his words. He took. You could take a person by talking to him with words. He took the 250 Roshis and Edruis to his side. That was what Vayikach Korach. But the truth is, the Pasuk says, Vayikach Korach, Korach was a taker. He wasn't a giver. Meaning to say, every person is a mekabel and is also a mashpia. That's how it works. Hashem created the world. Every person is a mekabel. He takes and he's a giver. He's also an oisten. But the main chaylik is, the main idea is, what's the mahus of the person? What do you say the mahus? What's his identity? If his identity is that he's a giver or he's a taker. If he wants to grab the whole time for himself, or the other rabbi, he wants to give always to other people. I once saw from Rabbi Leo Dessler in a Sefer Michtav Me'Leo, he had over there a kuntres achesed. It's a gewaldige kuntres to learn it about giving to be an oisen. I saw it long ago, but I think that it brings down over there a mashal of two people that they saw that in their area there was no small grocery for people that they want to buy in the morning, bread and milk and yogurts and cheese, eggs, to make breakfast for their husband, for the children, for themselves. So there were two people that they decided they're going to open a small grocery. Now both of them asked the money for the bread and for the milk, for whatever they sold. But in the depth, there was a big difference between both of them. One of them was his identity, he was a giver, and the other one was a taker. Now the person that he was a taker, his whole mind was, why am I going to open this? I'm going to be able to earn money. I'm going to be able to earn money through this grocery. And that was his whole focus, only on getting other people's money should come into his pocket. Now he can't put his hands into the other guy's pocket and take out money. There's a issa geneve. But he tries always, I'm going to sell bread and milk. I'm going to take the maximum I should be able to take. And that In that way, I'm going to make a lot of money. I have to give them, otherwise they won't give me money. But his whole sibbe, the whole reason why he is giving for others, is only he should be able to get. The other person, his identity is he is a giver. He really would want every morning to open up his grocery, and whoever wants could come and take for free bread and milk, whatever they need for the mishpacha. But he knows very well that if he's going to do this, he's going to be able to last out for a month or two or maybe more. But eventually he's going to have to close shop because his money is going to finish. So the only reason why he's taking money from the people, he should be able to give them again. He should be able in the future to give again and to give again. So he is only a giver, and the reason why he is taking, he should be able to give again. So this person's identity is he is a giver, and this person is he is a taker, he is a grabber. Now even in Yiddish they say a little joke. Yehuda ben Tema tells in Pirkei Avos that we should learn from the Balei Chaim. Have a az kanomer, kanemer. You should be az. That means you should have guts. You should have te'uzah, oimetz. How do you say it in English? You should have courage. Again, what did you say? Confidence. You should have confidence and courage, like a nemer, like a leopard. And then you should be kal, easy, kenesher, like a nesher is eagle. Yeah. Rotz katzvi, fast, like a tzvi is a deer. V'gibor, a strong kwari, like a lion. So they ask, l'choire, Az, Kanomer, and Gibber Kari are pretty similar. Az is like a Nemer, and Gibber Kari is pretty similar. Even though the Torah, in the beginning of Shulchan Aruch and Oirach Chaim, the first Siman, he brings down this mission of Yehuda ben Tema, and he explains, no, Gibber Kari refers to physical strength, and Az Kanomer refers to courage. He shouldn't be ashamed, even though people maybe could laugh about him. He should know this is right, what I have to do, and he shouldn't be ashamed, that he should have confidence in himself that what he does is the right thing. That's the pshat of Askanomer. But still, they ask, why do you have to have Askanomer and Gibber Kari? So they say in Yiddish, you know why? Because it's two different people. A Nemer is not a Gibber, and a Gibber is not a Nemer. Nemer in Yiddish means a person that takes. And a giver is someone that gives, a giver. This is how you call it also in Yiddish. So that's why you have to put it in two separate chalukim, because a nemer is not a giver. Someone that takes is not someone that gives, and a giver is not a nemer. So you have to be, from this part, see whatever you could do to give for other people. And this is what I heard from the Beyonder Rebbe Shlita, that he says that when Korach comes and Moshe Rabbeinu tries to convince them, so he tells them the whole time, Rav lochem b'nei Levi, Rav lochem, and then he says, Hama'at mikem ki hivdla lekei Yisrael eschem. So he said, there's a remez over here. He's telling them, Rav lochem, you want very much for yourselves. Hama'at mikem, very little you want to give away from yourself. From yourself, if you have to give, you give just the bare minimum. But your real focus is how you could grab more. It's not enough for you, the Leviah. You want Kehina, you want the Nesias. You are jealous of Elitzoph and Menazil, why he became the Nasi. You want to be the Nasi. You want so much for yourself, and you're only willing to give away to give away so little from yourself. Hama'at mikem, from yourself you only want to give away very little, and Rav lochem, for yourself you want very much. So that's the pshat vayikach Korach. The pasuk starts. You know what the problem of Korach is? He was a taker. His problem was he was a taker. He the whole time wanted to take and take more and more, and that was his problem. A very, very interesting zach. When Moshe Rabbeinu sees what's going on, it says in Pasuk, Vayokam Moshe, Vayelech el Dosan va'aviram. He went to Dosan va'aviram. And Rashi says, what do we learn from this? Rashi says, Now Rashi brings it down even before. Vayishlach Moshe likroi ledosan v'la'aviram. He sent to call Dosan and Aviram. Rashi says, Mikan she'ein machzikim b'machloikis. You don't hold on to machloikis. Yeah, you are not machzik b'machloikis, because we see that Moshe was trying the whole time to make shalom with them, b'divrei shalom with Dosan and Aviram. Now it's very interesting. I would think that the Lashon Rashi shouldn't be like on the negative part, ein machzikim b'machloikis. More than that, this is the most positive thing that could be. It should say in Rashi, Mikan sheroit v'nachrei hashalom. Because Moshe Rabbeinu sends to call Dosan and Aviram, and afterwards he goes himself to them and he wants to try to convince them, he was a roidef acher hashalom. And Rashi only calls it ein machzikim b'machloikis. Seems to be that if Moshe Rabbeinu wouldn't have done what it says over here in Pasuk, Chaz v'shalom, he would be considered machzikim b'machloikis. Not to be machzik b'machloikis means you should have to try whatever you could to shalom. Roidef acher shalom is even a bigger madrege, but at least not being a machzik b'machloikis, you also have to try and do vayishlach Moshe. You can't say, you know what, they started up with me, I'm not a machzik b'machloikis, I have to go to them, I have to try to convince them. No, you do have to try. And that's part of a machzik b'machloikis, that you're not allowed to be machzik b'machloikis. Now it says in Pasuk, Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu in the beginning when Hashem Yisburach wanted Chaz v'Sholem to be mechale the whole Klal Yisrael. Moshe and Aharon cried and they davened to Hashem, Eile lekei yorichos lechal basar, o ish echad yechto, v'al kol eidu tiktsoif. So that's when only Korach and Dosan v'Aviram and the others. Now, what was the tefillah of Moshe Rabbeinu? Says the Rabbi Chaim Kodesh. You should really see it inside. The Rabbi Chaim Kodesh explains that Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to convince Hashem Yisborach that he shouldn't do any harm for Klal Yisrael. He said, Hashem Yisborach, I know what you like. The biggest chayfetz of Hashem is when his nivroim, his creation. His creations, they praise Hashem, they give a shevach, a halva, they do it for Hashem Yisborach. Now, says the Rabbi Chaim Kanievski like this: the first level is the shevach v'yedoy that Hashem gets from the maluchim. Higher than that is what he gets from the neshamas of tzaddikim, that they are in olam u'elyon. Also, those tzaddikim that they weren't yet on this world, and they are in the oitzra neshamas, oitzra chaim. And also from those tzaddikim that they were already on this world, and they, Baruch Hashem, were mashlim themselves, they fulfilled themselves, and now they are already back in Oitzera Neshamas and Oitzera Chaim. But even more than that, Hashem has a nachas ruach from the praising Hashem from people that they are still in the guf agashmi, and they have to struggle themselves because the Yetzer Hara, the guf, pulls them down, and they have a thrive to become better and to become higher. And that's what Hashem loves the most. And this is what he was crying out to Hashem. You are the holy God, that you have such an achasriach from the ruach that's still in the basar. So if you're going to be chaz v'shalom mechalek klal Yisrael, you won't have this nachas ruach, kavyochel, this excitement, this enjoyment. You won't have, because you're going to chaz v'shalom be mechalek klal Yisrael. And with this, Moshe Rabbeinu was kavyochel matzliach to poil, to convince Hashem Yisburach he should be mevatel the gezeire. He shouldn't chaz v'shalom bring kaloi on klal Yisrael. So we see from this Rabbi Chaim Kanievski how much Hashem likes when a person struggles, because this is what Hashem, he has maluchim, he has enough. The whole idea is lefum tzara agre. You struggle and you try the best to do it because you bring yourself to ahavas Hashem, to yiras Hashem, to fear from Him, to love Him. When you keep yourself back from an aveira, it's more for because you fear from Hashem. When you do a mitzvah because you love Hashem, you do it with ahava. Everything you have to do with ahava and yirah. But this cheshek and this rotzoin that you have, and you are me'oirer, even though you're still in a basar, that's Gevaldik Choshev B'Hashem Yisburech, and that's what he likes the most. And with this, Moshe Rabbeinu spoke to Hashem Yisburech, Keile Lekayriches Lechalbusa, should be Mavater, he should be Moichel and Klal Yisrael. And I want to add to this what Moshe Feinstein says a Gevaldige Zach in the Sefer Dorash Moshe. After what happened to Korach and the whole and the kivutz of Korach, the Messiah v'Chamishim Ish, it says that Klal Yisrael came the next day to Moshe Rabbeinu, Atam amitem asam Hashem. Because of you, so many of our Roshes and Eduas, they died. Atam amitem asam Hashem. And then it says afterwards there was a Magaifa and a Harna going around with the Ktoiris, and he stopped the Magaifa. Then Hashem Yisburech told Moshe Rabbeinu, you know what? I want once for all, no more tinies of Klal Yisrael. A Harna should be the Kohen, this one should be the Kohen, that one. Every Nasi should give his mate, should give his stick. We're going to put all the sticks in the Beis Hamikdash and the Mishkan, and whoever one, his stick is going to be, he's going to give fruit, he's going to give out fruit. Yeah, but how do you call it giving out fruits? You call it sprout with a T. Whoever's stick is going to sprout fruits, he is going to be the symbol that he is the one that I chosen. He should be the Kohen Gadol. And it says in Pasuk, they took all of the Mateu and they put it into the Mishkan, and the next day Moshe Rabbeinu comes in and he sees out that there are almonds, and the Pasuk says like this: Vayoytze perach, first came out the flower, yeah. Then vayotze tzitz, afterwards Rashi explains, the perach, the flower falls down, and the priest starts coming out chanote. How do you say chanote in English? The beginning of the sprouting?
Planting.
Yeah.
Planting.
The planting, the chanote is like the sprouting, yeah? And then vayotze tzitz, vayigmol shkeidim. At the end it came out shkeidim, almonds. Stam, I heard in the name of Choshev Rav of Rehovot, his name was Reb Shloime Cook. He was nifter about 30 years ago. He had an accident. He said once, very nice, he said, what was the simmer with the shkeidim coming out, the almonds? He said like this: almonds are two types of almonds. There are small almonds and there are big ones. The small almonds, in the beginning, they are sweet, but when they are finished growing, then they are bitter almonds. And the big almonds is the opposite. When they are small, they are bitter, and when they become big, that's when they have a sweetness, the almonds that we know. So he said Hashem wanted it to show with the almonds. This is how it works with Machloikis and Shalom. Machloikis could be in the beginning very sweet. You think, yeah, I'm going to give it to him. I'm going to win him. It's going to be very good. In the end, you stop and it's very, very bitter. And by Shalom, it's the opposite. In the beginning, it could be pretty hard. It's hard on me to do Shalom, but in the end, it's very, very sweet. So that was the simmer with the Shkeidim. But now I want to go back. So it came out the Perach, and then Vayotze Tzitz Vayigmel Shkeidim. Now when we learn the Pasuk, normally we learn that when Moshe Rabbeinu went into the Mishkan, he saw already only the almonds. He didn't see the flowers. He didn't see the beginning of the sprouting. He only saw the almonds. But the Gemara says in Masechta Yuma, Daf Niyin Beis, the Gemara says over there that when the Oren was nignas by the first Chorban Beis Hamikdash, another few things were also nignas, were hidden together with the Oren. Mishenignazu Oren, nignuzu imoy. What? So the Gemara says a few things. One is the Tzitzena Samon. The Parshat B'Shalach, Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu should take a Tzintzenes. How do you call it? The Tzintzenes? A jar. And fill it up with mon and put it away in the Mishmeres. And that was in the Beis Hamikdash until the Churban of the first Beis Hamikdash. Also, Maktoy Shalahan, the stick of Aaron. It says over here in the Pasuk, Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu he should Hoshev Esmata Aaron Lefnei Yevedis LeMishmeres. He should put it back in the Beis Hamikdash LeMishmeres. That was hidden together with the Aron by the Churban of the first Beis Hamikdash. Now, Loshna Gemara is over there. Makle Shalahan Ushkeideyo Upracheyo, with the almonds and the flowers. That's the Loshna Gemara. And it's a little bit hard to understand, because if there were already almonds, so the flower falls off. How could it say in Gemara the makrish shalahan with the almonds and the flowers? So the Tosfos Yeshonim over there in Masechtas Yuma asks this kasha, Daf Nun Beis Amud Beis, and it says, Timihali, I'm wondering, once there were already almonds, there are no flowers over there, no prochim. So he says, the Tosfos Yeshonim Gishmak Teretz says, not all of them became already almonds. It was only one night. Some still stayed flowers. Some were sprouting, and some of them finished already, and they were shkedim. So there was shkedim and there were prochim. Rabbi Moshe Feinstein says another teretz, and also the Ritva says mamish like this. Interesting that it doesn't mention that the Ritva says this, that there was a ness. Even all of them became almonds. Even after becoming almonds, the flower still stayed on the stick. Now, what's the reason for this ness? The whole Rabbi Moshe Feinstein's Etzal is masber. It was to show us that when it comes to Ruchnius, Hashem doesn't only look on what you achieved and what you were zoiche to do, even all the tsar, all the energy, all the effort that you put in order to arrive, in order to achieve what you achieved, everything. So by Gashmius, on the way to become almonds, there has to be prochim, flowers, and chanote, but no one cares about it. The ikr is the almonds that I get in the end. When it comes to Ruchnius, even when you have the almonds, I still am machshiv. All the work and all the effort that you put in, you're striving, and you're wanting, and you're rotzen that you have, the tshuke, all the efforts that you put in, all the nisyonis, all the isgabris, the strength that you have misgaber, everything is very choshev. And that's pshat in the Gemara. It says, Ashrei mi sha'amoloi b'toire. It doesn't only say limud ha'toire. He is omol in Torah. He is dwelling. He is trying. Now, and if we go with the Tosfos Yeshonim, it's even more than that, because the Tosfos Yeshonim explains that not even all of them became in the end shkedim. Some of them stayed prochim. That shows us that not only when you come to the tachlis and you achieve, Hashem looks and gives you schar and He has enjoyment and He so much likes all the effort that you put in, even if in the end you didn't achieve lemaise, but all of the effort that you put in is gevaldik choshev. That's the idea, that Hashem likes this so much. Now from this pasuk, from Ibodlu, mitoicha eido roazois, that it says over here, by the Parsha in Korach, Ibodli metoichu eidu azois v'achala oisam keroga. The Gemara learns from this that a dover shebekdusha should be said with a minyan. You can't say Baruch Hu, you can't say kedusha, you can't say Kaddish without a minyan. From where do we learn it? Interesting. The pasuk says in Parshas Emoy, "V'nikdashti b'soich b'nei Yisrael." So we see over there the pasuk says toich. V'nikdashti b'soich b'nei Yisrael. Now it doesn't say how many Yidden should be together, should be considered toich. Maybe 5 people is enough. So the Gemara says in Masechta Broches, I have a Zera Shove, toich. What's the other toich? This week's Parsha. Hibodlu mitoicha eidu azois. Hashem tells for Moshe and Aaron, Hibodlu. What's the pshat Hibodlu? Remove yourself. Separate yourself. Mitoicha eidu azois. So we see that it says toich when it says eido. When it says eido, we see toich. So we know v'nikdashti b'soich b'nei Yisrael refers to an eido. How much is an eido? So the Gemara says, we see in last week's Parsha, in Parshat Shalach, Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu, when the Meraglim came back, Hashem tells him, Ad Mosai le'eda harazois. For how long I'm going to have to still have so much Agmas Nefesh from this bad Eidah? So the Gemara says, it means 10, because there were 12 Meraglim, a Yeshia and Kolev were Tzadikim, so only the other 10, they were Rishoim. And if the Pasuk calls them Eidah, Ad Mosai le'eda harazois, so we know that Eidah refers to 10. And over here it says, Yibodlu mitoicha Eidah. So we see by Eidah it says Toich. If it says V'nikdashti b'soich b'nei Yisrael, that means 10. That's how the Gemara learns it in Masechta Pesachim. Brings down the Agri de Kale, what he heard from his Rebbe, the Rebbe Mendele from Rimenev, that Loi lechinam. Where does he say it? Yeah. Shomati mikvoit admir. Harav Marayni Rabbi Menachem Mendel Zeichet Tzadik V'Kodesh Livrocha, that it says, Re'ei, look and see, ad heichon advorim magiyim, ad shekol advorim shebekdusha shebiyisrael, or every dover shebekdusha that has to be ba'asoro, nishmoim, from where do we learn it? Memeraglim im adas koirach. From the meraglim and from adas koirach, we learn that every dover shebekdusha has to be with a minyan. Very interesting. And even more than that, Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, in his Chivas Igris Moshe, Chelik Aleph, I think it's a Simach of Gimel, he says, if you come in a place and you don't have a minyan, you can only add people that they don't believe Chaz v'Shalom in Hashem. They are koifrim in Hashem. Could you be them mitzaref as part in the minyan or not? He says, yes. If he's a Yid, you could be a mitzaref as part of the minyan. Why? Because he says, from where do we learn minyan? From the Meraglim. The Meraglim came back and what did they say? Ki chazaku mimenu. The Gemara says that they meant to say they're even stronger than the one above. Ki chazaku mimenu. They were koifrim b'Hashem. And even though the Pasuk calls them Eidah, and from them we know that every Dover Shebekdish has to be Basara, and also Adas Koirach, Dosan Vaviram, Big Rishuim. So we see that if it comes to a Yiddish Neshama, you don't have to look how and exactly what he is. If he's a Yid, you could be a Mitzvah for a minyan. That's how Moshe Feinstein explains. And the Agra de Kale, in a Sefer Magi Taluma, on Masechta Brochis, he brings and he explains it even more. He says, because we see in Chazal and Gemara Masechta Sanhedrin, that some on the Omrim say that Koirach, Adas Koirach, don't have a Chaylik Eloilam Habe. And even the ones that say that they do have, but the B'meraglim, the Gemara says, they don't have a Chaylik Eloilam Habe. Now Hashem Yisborach so strongly wants that no Yiddish in Neshama should be Chaz v'Shalom, farfallen, should be lost. So Hashem made that we should learn from Adas Meraglim and from Koirach, the Gezei Shuve, Toich, Eidah. So this is going to be a gewaltige schus for the Meraglim. So even if mitzad their sins, they would be mechayiv that they don't have a chaylik anoilam habe. But because we learn the haluchas of Kiddush Hashem, where we say a dover shebekdisha, we learn from them. So their neshama has an aliyah, and because they regoy them to Kiddush Shemoy Yisborach, and that in that way, they also their neshama is going to have an aliyah. That's how it says over here in the Sefer of Magid Talima. Now the truth is that in the Yerushalmi, in Masechta Bruchis, the Yerushalmi learns it from a different place, and the Rabbeinu Bechaya in Parshas Emor, he says that he doesn't accept that this is the true Girsa, what we have in the Gemara Bavli, that we learn a minyan from the Meraglim and from Adas Koirach. Rather, we should take the nusach that it says in Yerushalmi. The Yerushalmi says, when the Acha Yosef come down to Mitzrayim, it says, Vayevoyu Acha Yosef Asoro. They came down 10 brothers, because Ben Yoma was still left with his father. And it says over there, Lishboy Bor Betoich Aboim. They came to buy Bor, Tvue, Betoich Aboim. So it says over there, Toich, and they were Acha Yosef, they were Asora, they were 10. So from there we know the Nekdash to Besoich B'nai Yisrael refers to 10. That's how the Yerushalmi says. Now interesting, the Chassam Sofer in Parshas Miketz, when he brings down this Yerushalmi, he explains it even more. And it's very geschmack according to the Chassam Sofer. He says, L'choire, why did Yaakov have to send 10 of his children? You have to buy Tvua, send 5 of them, 6 of them. Why does he have to send 10 of them? He says because he wanted they should be able to daven with a minyan. The whole time they're going to be on the way. They're going to be in Mitzrayim. He wanted them to daven with a minyan. This week there was a lot of minyanim in Mitzrayim. Yeah, a lot of minyanim in Mitzrayim. So he wanted them to daven with a minyan in Mitzrayim. So he for himself had enough because he had all his Einiklach. Shivim Nefesh, he had a lot of people in Eretz Yisrael. But his children, he wanted them to have a minyan. So he sent along with them, they should be together 10. So Lefizah, it's even more than that. It's not stam that we learn because it says betoich aboyim and toich. The reason why Taka Yaakov sent 10 of his children, they should be able to make the v'nigdashti b'soich b'nei Yisrael. And according, and lefi zeh we can understand very good. Yosef calls his brothers and he tells them, "Meraglim atem, you are meraglim." And Rashi explains the Medrash. He tells them, "I got notice that when you came in from 10 separate entrances, and also you divide yourself every day. You go around looking because they were looking for their brother Yosef. Yeah, so you go around searching. You are meraglim." According to the Chassam Sofer, it's even more than that, because they used to meet 3 times a day to daven. So he probably had the makav. How do you call a makav in English? He was like looking after them. No, how do you call? He was being. Spying. Yeah, he was spying on them. And what did he hear from his spies, Yosef? Every morning they meet themselves together because they were davening shachris. Then they spread themselves out the whole town, the whole city, the whole land of Mitzrayim. By noon, they're again together. Then, at night, they're again together. That's Meraglim. Come on, what's going on? Every few hours, you get together and you share all the secrets that you were begaled this time. So this is how. So the Chassam Sofer explains that this Chaylik Yaakov sent with them 10 because they should be able to say. So I thought it's going to be very geschmack also that we learn it from Lish Boy Bor B'Toich Aboim. Why? Because davening with a minyan, says the Mor V'Shemesh, is a gewaldige skula for Parnose. It brings the pasuk Parshat Mishpotim. V'avadetem es Hashem Elokeichem. It starts with a Loshen Rabim. Iveirach eslach b'choves meimecho is a Loshen Yochid. Why does he change? So he says, avoid the shebelev refers to tefillah. So v'avadetem es Hashem Elokeichem refers to tefillah. That you have to do berabim, b'tzibur. And in that case, every single one, each and every one is going to be a he's going to have panose. So the panose comes from davening with a minyan. So that's why when Yaakov sends Acha Yosef Asora, and we learn betoich aboim, what does it say? Lish boy bar betoich aboim. They are going to find tvue, to find panose betoich aboim, because by davening with a minyan, that's the gewaldige skill to bring panose to the people. Another thing that I want to mention, it says over there in the pasuk that when after the sticks they sprouted, the shkedim, the elements, it says in pasuk, each one of the Nesiim took his stick, vayikchu, it says in pasuk over there, vayiru, they saw, vayikchu ishmateu. Every one of them took his stick. What's the reason? Some of them, Parsha explain, the reason was because they so strongly wanted the Nesiim, it should be finished with all of the machloikis. So every Nasi took his stick and he went around to his shevet and he told them, you see, this is my stick, my name is written on it, and it didn't sprout. So I am not meant to be, that's Adra, but they wanted to bring it. But they say in the name of the one of the sons of the Heilige Yerushalayim, his name was Rabbi Nachum. He was the 5th Stefaneshter Rebbe. His son is the Stefaneshter Rebbe that's buried in Givatayim. A lot of people go to his cave, Rabbi Avrom Matisui from Stefanesht. His yahrzeit is Chaf Aleph Tammuz, coming up now. Gewaldige Yeshuas we see by his Tzion. Rabbi Avrom Matisui from Stefanesht. His father was Rabbi Nachum from Stefanesht. He once said, if you're going to give the breire, how do you say breire in English? The opportunity? No. If you're going to give the choice. If you're going to give the choice for everybody, should take his specular, meaning to say his what he carries, everybody carries his own specular, his burden, and put it on a nail. And then you're going to take him into the room and tell him, you know what, pick which bird you would want to pick from all of these. Everybody's going to take back his own specular that he has, because he's going to see that this is specifically meant for him. This is what he could take. This is what he could handle. Hashem gives everyone exactly what he could handle. Eina Kodesh Baruch Hu Betrini and B'rei Yosef. Baruch Goizer Mekayim. Rav Sadi Gaon explains, if Hashem gives a gezeire, he gives you the koyach to be Mekayim and to stay and to go on, even though you have this hardship, you have this burden. So everybody will take back his own. So they say in the name of the Rebbe Rabbeinu from Preshische that he says the remes is also over here. Mateu refers like a shtikl pekele. It's a stick that Hashem sometimes could chaz v'shalom give a stick. Now everybody took his own stick and he puts it into the Mishkan, all 12 Nesiyin, and then they give them a choice. Vayiru vayikvish Mateu. Everybody takes back his own stick because he understands that this is what went for him. Rabbi Chaim Kanievski Zecher Tzadik Levrucha once said, interesting, he says, I come down from the airplane and you arrive to the belt and you have all packages going around. You can take whichever you want. You see, everybody takes his own package. No one takes another one suitcase. You take your own package because everybody knows when you have all the package around, everybody wants to take his own one. Now I want to finish with a word from the Zera Shimshon. Schisa Yogan Aleinu Lechvoid our Baal Achsanye. Schisa Yogan Aleinu from the Holy Zera Shimshon. The Zera Shimshon explains on the Posik Vayikach Korach. The Medrash says, and Rashi brings it also down that Korach was choilik on two mitzvahs, on tzitzis and mezizah. And what was his time? He came to Moshe and he asked him, true, the halacha is that if you have a talis from another mean, not from tchelis, you put in one chut from tchelis, one, how do you call it, string of tchelis by every konof, by every of the four ends. So that's enough. It's a kosher tzitzis. What's going to be if I'm going to have a talis that's kulot tchelis? Is it going to be enough? So Moshe said, no. It won't pater from the mitzvah of tchelis. The same zach he asked regarding a mezuzah. If you have an empty house and you put by the door a mezuzah that has in it two parshiyas, Shema and Voim Shemoya, is that enough to pater the whole house? Yeah. So now he asked, what's going to be with a bayis moles for him? Is that going to be good? And Moshe said, no. So the Zera Shimshon asks, his real reason why he had a machloikis with Moshe was because he was jealous. Why Moshe Rabbeinu gave the Nesias for Elitzophan ben Ezil that was younger than him, and didn't give it for him that he was the son of Yitzhar, and Elitzophan was only a son of Uziel, that he was the fourth son of Kahos, and not Yitzhar was the second son of Kahos, and also Korach was a bigger Chacham than Elitzophan ben Ezil. So why did he give it for Elitzophan? Now, he explains like this. The reason why Moshe Rabbeinu gave it for Elitzophan wasn't because he decided that Elitzophan is more choshev than Korach. No, he knew that Korach is bigger and he's smarter than Elitzophan, and he's not a generation, but he refers to an older brother than Izuel. But that was the Tzivi Hashem. He should give it for Elitzophan. Now, Korach, he explains, Korach didn't want to come and laugh of all the mitzvahs of Moshe Rabbeinu. He didn't come Chal V'Shulam and say all the mitzvahs that Moshe Rabbeinu says in the name of Hashem, I disagree. He didn't say that. He came and he thought like this, those two mitzvahs, we know the tamim of the mitzvahs. And the reason is, by tzitzis it says, what's the reason you should put tzitzis? You should remember all of the mitzvahs of Hashem. And the reason of the mezuzah is, Hashem says, it says in Zohar HaKodesh, write my name on your door, and then all of the mazikim are going to run away. Mezuzas is oisius zos moves. It pulls away, it pushes away, Chad v'shulam the malache, chabola, all the bad mazikin, they can't come into your house. And the Pasuk even says, Ich saftem al mezuzos basecho evishorecho, leman yirbe yemechem, yemei v'neichem. So over here the Pasuk says, leman tiskoir, by tzitzis, and leman yirbe yemechem. So Korach thought that if over here we know the tamim of the mitzvah, so if that's the case, if one chut would be enough to remind the person as kol mitzvah Hashem, and if that's the reason of the mitzvah, so for sure if the whole talis is tchelas, you're going to remember it even much more. And the same zach, if two parshiyas of the mezuzah have a koyach to chase away all the bad mazikim, So for sure, if you have a bias molis for him, it should for sure be enough. And because Moshe Rabbeinu disagreed, and he said, no, even a bias molis for him needs a mezuzah. And even the talash shkulat tchelis needs a chut of tchelis. So Korach understood and he said, over here I disagree with Moshe. Because if we know the reasons of these two mitzvahs, and the real reason is only to bring a toive for Klal Yisrael, in order they should remember the mitzvahs and they should have a shmira. So I understand for sure that if I could bring a better zechira, a better reminder, or a better shmira, a better shmira on the house, that should for sure be better. And if Moshe doesn't understand so he said, now I see that Moshe Rabbeinu doesn't always understand what's the meaning when Hashem tells him. So who knows, he said, maybe Hashem told for Moshe Rabbeinu, you and your brother, you're the children from Amram, you took already, you are one of them is the Kohen, and one is the Rabban Shal Yisrael. Yeah, Moshe Rabbeinu. Now go ahead and make a Nasi, someone from the Mishpacha, from Mishpachas Kahos, takes one of them and make him a Nasi. And the truth, he should have taken Korach, because he is the oldest son of Yitzhak, and not go to the smallest. And the reason why Moshe Rabbeinu made the mistake, he thought that the same way, like he understands, even a talash shkulat tcheles or a bayis molis for him, also needs a mezuzah and also needs a chut shel tcheles. That shows that he doesn't really think into the depth of the tzivi of Hashem whenever there is a reason to that. And that's why he came to this conclusion. So maybe he thought, in our case also, Hashem just told him, you take one of the children of Kahos. And he, by himself, decided to take this youngest, Elitzoph ben Eziel, but really it was prepared for me. So that's how the Zera Shimshon explains, that was the reason why Korach he took those two mitzvahs, because by those two mitzvahs, the Pasuk says clearly the reasons. And he understood, if the Pasuk says the reason, and if in such a case you have a better zechira or a better shmira, it should for sure be better. And even Moshe Rabbeinu still says, no, that wouldn't be enough, because the real reason was, like Moshe Rabbeinu said, that Hashem wants the mitzvah should be on the konof, a chut cheles, and it should be a mezuzah by the door, even though it's a bias molis for him, even though it's a talash shkulat cheles. But Korach didn't understand so, and that made him think that maybe also in our case, when Hashem wants some of the mishpocha to be a nasi, he chose the smallest one, but he should have chosen the one Korach, and that was why he went and he made a machloikes with Moshe Rabbeinu. Fine. Es darf man abschneiden, der letzte Stickel, was ich gewinnt habe. Wo es schwer abzuschneiden, das Sof ist gering. Kann ich gewiss, so ja, nein, kann ich gesicht eine kleine Sache. Ich wollte endigen mit etwas eine kleine Sache, aber es ist schon wirklich mit einer kleinen Sache. Schkoyach.